One of the deepest and most unspoken pains in life is the habit of comparison. You may not notice it at first. It slips quietly into the mind, whispering that someone else is brighter, stronger, richer, or more gifted than you. We scroll through social media and see polished fragments of another person's life. And in those moments, our own victories feel small, almost invisible. This is not new. Humans have always compared themselves with one another. Thousands of years ago, farmers compared the weight of their harvests. Warriors compared scars and victories. Artists compared who received the patronage of kings. But back then, such comparisons were slower, contained within small circles. Today, with every success broadcast to millions in seconds, the weight of comparison has become unbearable for many. Think for a moment. If a fish were to spend its life dreaming of flying like a bird, it would pass its days in misery, believing itself a failure. Even though, in truth, that fish could cross oceans, no bird would ever dare. This is the tragedy of comparison. It blinds us to our own gifts. Ancient thinkers knew this. Epictetus warned his students not to measure life by another's possessions. Laozi wrote that nature never competes, yet everything is accomplished. The sun does not envy the moon, nor the oak the willow. And yet, here we are scrolling, sighing, comparing. No wonder sadness grows. That is why today's story matters, for it speaks to anyone who has ever thought, "I'll never be as good as them." Long ago, in a small village near a bustling town, life moved at a slower rhythm. Fields, markets, and laughter filled the days. Beside the village stretched a vast, beautiful forest, a place that carried the scent of wildflowers in spring and whispered with leaves in summer. Here lived Ethan, a boy known for his kindness and hard work. To his neighbors, he was dependable and good-hearted. Yet inside, Ethan carried a heavy burden. He could not stop comparing himself to others. When his friend Liam returned with the best grades, Ethan sighed, "I wish I were as smart as him." When Ryan, the wealthy neighbor, showed off fine clothes, Ethan muttered, "If only I had money like him." Even small things. The boy who ran faster, the one who climbed trees with ease reminded Ethan of what he lacked. This habit grew like a shadow. He lost focus in his studies, no longer enjoyed games, and even the beauty of the forest seemed dim. Comparison consumed him. "I'll never be like them," he repeated, until he believed it. Such sorrow is timeless. In medieval courts, knights compared their victories. In Japan, poets despaired when their verses lacked recognition. The Roman historian Sallust observed that envy consumes the envious more than the envied. Ethan's pain was the pain of humanity itself. But wisdom often arrives when despair is deepest. One evening, Ethan gathered courage to approach Grandpa Joe, the elder of the village, a man with silver hair and eyes bright with understanding. People respected him not for riches, but for the calm strength in his words. "Grandpa," Ethan whispered, "I try my best, but whenever I see others do better, I feel small. It feels like I'll never be enough." Grandpa Joe listened, then smiled. "Come to the oldest tree tomorrow morning. There, you will find your answer." The next day, under the towering tree whose roots seemed older than memory, Ethan arrived. Grandpa Joe pointed toward the forest. "Look carefully. What do you see?" Ethan looked. Apple trees, short but fruitful. Coconut trees tall and strong. Oaks spreading wide. Willows bending over streams. Each was different, yet together they formed something beautiful. "Now imagine," Grandpa Joe said, "if the apple tree wished to be as tall as the coconut, or the coconut wished for apples. How would that sound?" Ethan laughed. "That would be silly, Grandpa. Trees don't compare." "And yet," the old man replied gently, "humans do. They forget, just as you have, that each has a gift of their own. The apple tree gives sweetness. The coconut tree offers strength and water. The forest is alive because of differences, not sameness." Ethan stood quietly. The truth struck him. Diversity was not weakness, but beauty. For the first time, he saw his comparisons as absurd as an apple tree longing to grow coconuts. Sensing Ethan's awakening, Grandpa Joe led him further, to a pond where silver fish swam beneath the surface and a bird soared above. The morning sun painted the water with ripples of gold. "Now," Grandpa Joe said, pointing, "imagine if the fish longed to fly like the bird. Would that be right?" Ethan shook his head. "Fish are made to swim. Birds are made to fly." The elder smiled. "And yet, this is what you do. You wish to be Liam, Ryan, or anyone but yourself. But you are not them. You are you. If a fish wastes life wishing for wings, it will never know the greatness of the ocean it was born to master." The words sank deep. Ethan saw it clearly. His life was not meant to mirror another's. He was not lacking. He was different. The fish swam, the bird flew, both perfect, both necessary. Across cultures, sages told the same lesson. Aesop's foxes and crows, the Panchatantra's lions and birds, indigenous tales of coyote and eagle, all reminded humans of the folly of envy and the wisdom of purpose. Grandpa Joe's story was part of that ancient tradition, and now it belonged to Ethan. For the first time, the boy's mind grew quiet. The chains of comparison loosened. In their place came a new question. What if I could simply be myself? From that day, Ethan began to live differently. He still saw Liam's brilliance and Ryan's wealth, but he no longer measured himself against them. Instead, he turned inward, focusing on his own strengths. He discovered patience, creativity with his hands, and a natural ability to fix what others could not. Slowly, confidence returned. He worked not to outshine, but to grow. Years passed, and his efforts bore fruit. Ethan built a small business, shaped by his diligence and honesty, which grew into something admired by many. People came to respect him, not because he was like Liam or Ryan, but because he was unmistakably Ethan. When asked about his success, he would smile and say, "Never compare yourself with others. If a fish tries to fly, it will always feel like a failure. But if it swims, it can own the whole ocean." Ethan's story is not just his own, it is ours. Vincent van Gogh, who died believing he was a failure, compared himself to the celebrated artists of his time, not knowing that history would one day treasure his art. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself not to envy others, for their fate and his were not the same. Edison, mocked for repeated failures, persevered because he measured progress by persistence, not by comparison. Comparison blinds us, convincing us that another's light dims our own. But the truth is clear. The sun and the moon do not shine together, yet both light the world. The apple tree and the coconut, the bird and the fish, all have their place. And so do you. Your life is not meant to copy another's rhythm. Your gifts, however small they may seem, are yours for a reason. Walk your path. Nurture your strengths. The world does not need another Liam or Ryan. It needs you. Because in the end, success is not about being like someone else. It is about becoming fully, completely, unapologetically yourself.